Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum. How are you, Luzana? Walaikum salam. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good, ma'am.
Walaikum salam. Today we will be continuing our learning outcome number 3. Okay. So let's see what does it say. Learning outcome number 3 states that understand the impact of market environment on organizations. And assessment criteria number 3.1 states that analyze the impact of supply and demand on the prices of goods and services in the market. So, we will be discussing the terminology supply and demand and the goods, what are goods and services, and how do they affect the sale purchase of a few products in the market. How supply and demand are actually related to the business growth. We'll discuss supply, demand, and their impact on the business, or you can say on the sale purchase of goods and services in a specific market. Okay, we are already familiar with the words supply, demand, goods, and services. Okay, so in recapitulation, what we actually studied in the class before our task class, we studied the influence of
Yes,
globalization
ma'am.
on organizational structure. Okay, so starting
Yes.
with the definition of first terminology, that is supply. All right, what is supply? Supply refers to the quantity of goods a supplier offers to the consumers, or the amount of a commodity, product, or service available and the desire of buyers for it, considered as factors regulating its price. Okay, so what is supply? Supply is uh, the quantity of goods or a service that a supplier can offer to the consumers. Okay, or you can say a shopkeeper, a businessman, or a distributor can offer to the consumer. While the amount of the commodity means the product, the service, or any other thing that any business is about to sell. Okay, so the amount of that commodity, product, or service available and the desire of the buyer to purchase that product or service are known as the factors that will regulate its price. Okay, as it is obvious that if something is in demand, means more and more people are actually purchasing that product or that service, of course its price will increase. Okay, because this factor means the desire of buyer will regulate the price of the product. Okay, so I hope so supply is clear to you. Now let's jump to the next terminology, that is demand. Demand is a schedule that shows the various quantities that consumers are willing and able to buy at various prices in a given time period. Okay, what is demand? Demand is basically a schedule, a layout, or uh, a request that how much quantities of a specific product the consumers are willing to buy. Okay, for example, I need to buy 4 tables, you need to buy 2 tables, another person needs to buy uh, 4 tables more. Okay, so overall, the demand of the tables will be 10 tables. Okay, because it is our desire to buy that table, or it is a requirement to buy that table. Supply refers to the market's ability to produce a good or service, whereas demand refers to the market's desire to purchase the goods or service. Supply and demand is often considered to be a fundamental concept within economics and is primarily used to describe the price and availability of the commodities. Commodities means the things, the product, services, or any other thing. Okay, so supply basically refers to the ability of the market to produce the product, means how much amount, how much quantity of a product is available within the market. Okay, while the demand refers to market's desire. It will not be market, it will be consumer's desire to purchase the goods or service.
Ma'am, can you repeat again? You mentioned about the supply ones. Like, suppose for demand, you mentioned like refers to market's desire, and for supply is what, ma'am? Like market's ability, right?
Ability, yes, market's ability means, or you can say availability of a product within a market is known as supply. Means that market, for example, we need to purchase 10 tables, but only 3 tables are present in the market. So market is supplying only 3 tables, but the demand of the tables is 10. Okay, so market's ability and the consumer's desire is known as the supply and demand, respectively. Supply and demand is often considered to be a fundamental concept within economics and is primarily used to describe the price and availability of the commodities. So, once the product is finalized, it is prepared within the industries or farms or companies, and then when the product comes out in the market, then the only two things that will decide the business growth are supply of that product and the demand of that product. Okay, so supply and demand of a specific product, certain product basically decides that how much your business will grow. If you have produced optimum products, high quality products, then of course your products will sell on a high rate. Okay, but if the consumer do not do not like your product, or they will not like product, it's working. So of course there will be less demand of your product or no demand of your product. Okay? Then comes elasticity. It's another terminology. We will use this term in the later slides. The relationship between the supply and demand for a good and service and the changes in prices now called elasticity. Okay. So the relationship between supply and demand and the changes in price accordingly is called elasticity. Goods that are inelastic are relatively insensitive to changes in prices, whereas elastic goods are very responsive to prices. Now let's start discussing it in detail. Supply and demand in economics, relationship between the quantities of a commodity that producers wish to sell at various prices and the quantity that consumers wish to buy. Again, the same thing has been explained over here. Market's ability and the consumer's desire. They are known as supply and demand respectively. It is the main model of the price determination used in economics. Okay, so this thing, the relationship between the supply and demand, it will decide what will be the price of the product or service. The price of a commodity is determined by the interaction of supply and demand in a market. The resulting price is referred to as the equilibrium price and represents an agreement between the producers and the consumers of the good. In equilibrium, the quantity of a good supplied by the producers equals the quantity demanded by the consumers. Okay, so this is called equilibrium price. What is equilibrium price? When supply of a specific product becomes equal to the demand of that product. Okay, 10 tables are required and 10 are present within the market. After their uh, after they are sold out, demand of 10 tables are placed again. Okay, so now the producer, the business, the industry will prepare 10 tables and supply them to the market. Okay, so at this point, when the supply becomes equal to the demand, this is known as the equilibrium price. Okay, and before that point, before this state, before this point when the supply becomes equal to the demand, and after that means when the supply is more than demand or when the supply is lesser than demand, the price will be different. Okay. So once the supply will become equal to the demand, then the price will become constant. It will not change any. Because on the other extremes, of course, the producers need to, manage, or you can say, make himself or if it's an industry, then make his industry stable enough to cover up the price, the making cost of the product and the profit. Okay, so in order to cover that loss, or you can say in order to make more profit, of course, the price will change. But when the supply and demand becomes equal to each other, then the price will remain constant. It will not change anymore. So on the right side of the slide is a graph. It represents price on the vertical axis and quantity.
Sorry, ma'am. Ma'am.
Yes,
Sorry to interrupt in the middle. Ma'am, if demand and supply are equal, so the price will remain constant, right?
yes, exactly. Price will not change when the supply equals to
Mm-hmm.
demand. That is why it is known as equilibrium price. Equilibrium price means here the equilibrium is maintained.
Price, I mean, equal to demand. Like price becomes equal to demand.
Supply becomes equal to demand and the
Hmm.
price will remain constant now. Now, neither the
Mm-hmm.
producer will increase or decrease the price, and nor the
Hmm.
supplier or the shopkeepers will increase or decrease the price because they know that already the product is higher in demand. So, of course, it will be sold out. All the products will be sold out in few days. Okay, so in this graph, the price is P is on the vertical axis while the quantity Q is on the horizontal axis. This is the slope of supply and this is the slope of demand. When the supply is decreased, a fewer numbers of the products are available in the market and the product is of higher quality. The demand will increase. Okay, why the demand will increase? Because more and more number of people will like to buy that product. Okay, so here when the supply will start increasing, the demand will start decreasing because of course the suppliers are providing that product in the market. So at this point, the blue dot, at this point, the supply becomes equal to the demand. This is known as equilibrium. Okay, now the producers, the suppliers are supplying the product in the market continuously. Till then, the point is reached when there are a lot of products present in the market, but because the consumers, the individuals have all the individuals, almost all the individuals who need that product have purchased that product. So now the demand will decrease. Okay, but already a number of products are present in the market. Okay? So this is supply and demand curve, and this blue dot is the equilibrium price, where supply
Equilibrium.
equals to demand. All right. Now comes demand curve. The quantity of now we will be discussing these curves separately. Demand curve. The quantity of a commodity demanded depends on the price of that commodity and and potentially or many other factors such as the prices of other commodities, the incomes and preferences of consumers, and seasonal effects. Okay, so the quantity of a commodity demanded in a market. Okay, initially we are talking about the starting period when the product has been prepared and launched in the market. So the quantity of the commodity or the product that is demanded within a market depends on many factors, like what will be the price of that product, what are the financial status of the people living in that area, what will be the prices of the similar products within the market, and what will be the preferences or choices of the consumers, and the seasonal effects if the product is related to seasonal wear or seasonal use. Okay, so all these factors will decide that how much amount of the product will be supplied in the market. In basic economic analysis, all the factors except the price of commodity are often held constant. The analysis then involves examining the relationship between various price levels and the maximum quantity that would potentially be purchased by the consumers at each of those prices. Okay, so basically, the price will not be held constant because, of course, the producer is in transition phase. Transition phase means now because he has introduced his product, So therefore, he will be managing the price accordingly because he needs to earn profit. That is the basic aim of every business. So in order to gain profit along with the fame of what? The fame of producing outclass products. So he cannot keep the price constant. So except for the price factor, while all other factors like the consumer's choice will remain constant, the season will remain constant for a few months, of course, the income or financial status of the consumers. Okay, so if all these factors are held constant, then analysis means uh, the judgment of the price, or you can say the price analysis, actually involves that how much product is sold by the shopkeepers, or you can say the suppliers, and how much product was purchased by the consumers. Similar thing, of course. And now the producer will change the price accordingly, depending upon how much the products are being sold. Okay. So the producer will actually judge, or you can say, analyze the price. How he will analyze the price? He will keep all the factors constant, and he will just analyze that how much products are being sold within a specific period of time. After his analysis, he will increase the price or keep the price constant accordingly. Whether he needs to increase the price or not, that will be the basic thing. The price quantity combinations may be plotted on a curve known as demand curve, with the price represented on a vertical axis and quantity represented on a horizontal axis. A demand curve is almost downward sloping, reflecting the willingness of a consumer to purchase more of the commodity at a lower price levels. Any change in non-price factors would cause a shift in the demand curve, whereas change in the price of the commodity can be traced along a fixed demand curve. Okay, so why the demand curve is almost always sloping downward? Because it is all dependent upon the willingness of the consumers to purchase that product, and the second thing is, of course, the availability of the product in the market. Okay, if a number of products are already available in the market and there is no need to supply more product in the market, then of course the demand curve will slope down like this. Okay, this way. Now, the willingness of the consumers to buy that product and the availability of a product in a market, it will decide the price of the product. And how last line states that any change in non-price factors would cause a shift in the demand curve, whereas the changes in the price of the commodity can be traced along a fixed demand curve. However, if the price changes, okay, when will the price change? Here we can see that on increased price, the demand curve, the price is increased along with the quantity demanded. Okay, all right. The quantity demanded shifts towards the higher extreme, so the price offered by the producer will also be increased. Why the price will be increased? Because initially the producer was in transition phase. Now he know that his product will be sold out within few days, few weeks, or few months. Now he is in that phase where he will generate more and more profit. So for that reason, he will increase the price of the product. So similarly, the demand curve will be shifted towards the upper side. Why it will be shifted towards the upper side? Because the price has increased. Okay. Initially, the producer was offering the price at this level. Now he is offering the price at this level. And with the passage of time, until the time when all the consumers will purchase the product, the demand curve will start sloping downward. Okay. So this was about the demand curve. Now comes the supply curve. The quantity of a commodity that is supplied in the market depends not only on the price obtainable for the commodity, but also on potentially on many other factors like the demand curve, such as the prices of the substitute products, the production technology, and the availability and cost of labor, and other factors of production. Okay, so it means that amount of the product that will be supplied in the market depends on the price along with many other factors like the price of the similar products in the market, the price or cost on the production technology, availability and the cost of labor, and many other production factors. Okay, so along with the price, the main factor that will affect the amount of the commodity supplied in the market is the production charges, production cost. Okay, now it includes the cost of labor, cost of raw material, cost of production technology, and many other factors. Okay, so the price and the production cost, it will decide the amount of the product supplied within a market. In basic economic analysis, analyzing the supply involves looking at the relationship between various prices and the quantity potentially offered by the producers at each price, again holding constant all other factors that could influence the price. Those price quantity combinations may be plotted on a curve known as supply curve, with price represented on the vertical axis and the quantity represented on the horizontal axis. A supply curve is usually upward sloping, reflecting the willingness of the producers to sell more of the commodity they produce in a market with higher prices. Any change in the non-price factors would cause a shift in the supply curve, whereas changes in the price of the commodity can be traced along a fixed supply curve. Okay, so the same thing here. The demand is held constant. Okay, the price is plotted against the vertical axis, the quantity is plotted against the horizontal axis. When the price will increase, now here the case is different. The demand has been decreased. Okay, the demand has been decreased means the consumers are no more willing to buy that product, or you can say all the people living in that area have purchased that product almost. Okay, now the quantity demanded has been decreased. See, Q to Q dash. The quantity demanded has been decreased, but the producer will increase the price. Due to that increase in the price, the slope curve will be increased from this point to the upper point. Why? Because the prices have been increased. Now, why the prices have been increased? The producers are actually producing, they keep on producing that product. They keep on supplying the products to the market irrespective of the demand of that product. So when they have supplied a lot of products in the market, of course, they need to cover the manufacturing cost, the labor cost, the production technology, and many other costs as well. So for that purpose, they will increase the price of that product so that they can cover up all those costs and they can generate a little bit profit as well. Okay, so in this case, only in this case, the supply curve will be shifted towards the upper side. All right. However, if the price is held constant, of course, there will be a equilibrium price will be achieved, and the graph that will be plotted against supply demand curve will be like this. Okay, there will be no shift of supply curve or demand curve. Market equilibrium or balance between supply and demand. Supply and demand are equated in a free market through the price mechanism. If the buyers wish to purchase more of a good than is available at a prevailing price, they will tend to bid the price up. Okay. If the buyers wish to purchase more of a good than is available at a prevailing price, they will tend to bid the price up. If they wish to purchase less than is available at the prevailing price, suppliers will bid the prices down. And the price mechanism thus determines what quantities of goods are to be produced. Okay, so we have studied about equilibrium price. Now we are discussing about market equilibrium. What is market equilibrium? So in a free market, the supply and demand are equated sometimes, means they become equal to each other. That is known as market equilibrium, but it is determined by the price mechanism. How it is determined by the price mechanism? If the buyers wish to purchase more and more goods, a specific good, okay, more of it, then uh, the producers will increase the price of the goods because they know their products will be sold out, their goods are of high quality, they are high in demand. If the buyers wish to purchase less of a good, they do not want to purchase a specific good, then the producers, the suppliers will decrease the prices. Okay, so this price mechanism will determine that what quantities of goods should be produced by the producers. The price mechanism also determines which goods are to be produced, how the goods are to be produced, who will get the goods, that is how the goods. Okay, so along with this, the price mechanism also determines, okay, price mechanism will determine what quantity of the goods to be produced, which kind of goods to be produced, how they will be produced, and who will get the goods, means who will be the distributors of the goods that will uh, take the goods from the industries and then distribute them to the suppliers. Goods so produced and distributed may be consumer items, services, labor, or other saleable commodities. In each case, an increase in the demand will lead to the price being bid up, which will induce producer to supply more. A decrease in demand will lead to the price being bid down, which will induce the producers to supply less. The price system thus provides a simple scale by which competing demands will be paid by every consumer or producer. Okay. A very common example of this market equilibrium or the price mechanism is the selling of chicken in the time of bird flu virus. Okay, so because of the prevalence of bird,
Sorry, ma'am, I didn't get that. Ma'am, could you repeat again?
this market equilibrium, or should I quote the example
Yeah,
first?
you were giving the example. Yeah, like the selling of what? I didn't get it.
Chicken, bird, the meat of a chicken.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so during the time of bird flu virus, when the bird flu virus was at its peak, the suppliers, the shopkeepers, they start selling the chicken at a very cheap price. Why they started selling the chicken at very cheap price? Because the chicken was no more in demand by the consumers. They do not wanted to purchase the chicken. So that is why the price of the chicken decreased. Okay, and the other example is Ramzan. In Ramzan, every shopkeeper know that what kind of the uh, things or items Muslims gonna purchase. So that is why they increase the prices to much higher level because they know somehow or other their things, their products, their grocery items will be sold because every Muslim need to purchase those items. Okay, so similarly, this is explained over here. When there is higher demand of a certain product, the supplier, the producer will bid the price up. And when the demand of the product will be decreased, then they will bid the prices down. Okay, and this price mechanism also determines that which one goods should be produced, how much quantities should be produced, how they should be produced, who will be the distributors of the products, and how they will be distributed. So price mechanism are very important in deciding that what will be the price of the product, and this is known as market equilibrium as well. The tendency to move toward the equilibrium price is known as, okay, and the resulting balance between supply and demand is called market equilibrium. Now let's go back to the that paragraph. This point where supply and demand are equal to each other is known as this price. The price at this point is known as equilibrium price. The mechanism of going towards the market, so equilibrium price is known as the market mechanism, and the process where the supply and demand becomes equal to each other is known as market equilibrium. Okay, the price is known as equilibrium price. The mechanism of moving towards the equilibrium price is known as market mechanism, and the balance between the supply and demand is known as market equilibrium. So these are three different terminologies, but they are related to the same process, the same phenomena. As the price of a good rises, the quantity offered usually increases, and the willingness of consumers to buy the good normally declines. But those changes are not necessarily proportional. Okay. As soon as the prices of certain goods increases, the quantity offered also increases, means the producers are going to produce much more amount of the product with higher prices, being sold at higher prices. So with this, the willingness, the desire of the consumer to buy that good will decline. Okay, but this is not mandatory. Sometimes it doesn't happen. What happens is actually the opposite of it. The people needs to buy the product and they start purchasing the product at high prices because they need that product. Okay, it can be essential of everyday life. The measure of the responsiveness of supply and demand to changes in price is called the price elasticity of supply or demand, calculated as the ratio of the percentage change in quantity supplied or demanded to the percentage change in the price. Okay, so what is price elasticity? The response of supply and demand to the changes in price is called price elasticity. Okay, so with increase, for example, with increase in price, this supply will be increased, of course. Okay, because the producer has increased the price, it will start supplying the products more and more to a market, but the demand of that product will decrease. So this response of supply and demand as a result of changes in price is known as price elasticity, and it is calculated as the ratio of percentage change in the quantity supplied or demanded to the percentage change in the price. Okay, now the percentage change in the quantity supplied or demanded equal to is actually the sale of the product. So sale of the product by the price of the commodity is known as price elasticity. Okay, for example, the price of a product is decreased by 10% and sales of the commodity consequently increased by 20%. Sales of the commodity has been increased by 20% and price of the commodity has decreased by 10%. So therefore the price elasticity will be 2. 20 divided by 10 equals to 2.
Ma'am, sorry, ma'am, I'll interrupt you at the middle. Can you repeat the
Yes.
market mechanism again? As you were
Okay,
saying, like the tendency. Yeah.
I'll repeat. Simply a process or the tendency of a product to move towards the equilibrium price. Okay, this is a process, this is a tendency, a procedure of moving a product towards the equilibrium price. Means that product is has the capability to reach the equilibrium price when its supply will become equal to demand. Okay, only those products that are higher in quality, that are very effective products, only they have the tendency to reach the equilibrium price. So this is known as market mechanism. Okay, and the resulting balance between supply and demand is known as market, and the price is of course the equilibrium price. All right, and what is price elasticity? Say a ratio of the sales of commodity to the price of commodity is known as the price elasticity. The demand for the products that have readily available substitutes is light. Okay, now here we will understand that what products are elastic and what are inelastic. The demand for products that have readily available substitutes is likely to be elastic, which means that it will be more responsive to change in the price of the product. That is because consumers can easily replace the good with another if its price rises. The demand for a product may be inelastic if there are no close substitutes and if the expenditures on the product constitute only a smaller part of consumers' income. Firms faced with relatively inelastic demands for their products may increase their total revenue by raising prices. Those facing elastic demands. So, what are elastic products and what are inelastic? Elastic products are those products whose substitutes are present in the market. If one producer or one supplier will increase the price of the product, then the consumers have many more other options. They can purchase those products. Elastic products are those products whose substitutes and alternatives are present in the market. Okay, for example, you need a pen, ball pen. There are a number of ball pens present in the market, different kinds of ball pens, different colors of different colored ink ball pens are present. Okay, so the ball pen is an elastic product because a number of substitutes are present in the market. Okay, and these kind of products, elastic products, are more responsive to changes in the price. Okay, but of course, the consumer will not be affected by the changes in the price of these elastic products because if the producer or the supplier will increase the price of their product, the consumers will purchase some other product of similar type. Okay, now inelastic products are those products whose no close substitutes are present within the market. Okay, so the producers generating inelastic products are able to generate more profit because they know that no alternatives or substitutes are present in the market. Okay, supply and demand analysis may be applied to the markets for finding services or to the markets for labor, capital, and other factors of production. It can be applied at the level of firm or in the industry or at the aggregate level for the entire economy. Supply and demand analysis is of course very important. Once your product has reached the market, then you start analyzing the supply of your product and the demand of your product and the price. Okay, so of course, supply, demand, price, these three things is now you know the basic main pillars of your business growth. With no immediate change in supply, the effect on the price comes from a movement along the supply curve and a shift of the demand causes the price to fall and turn. Okay, inward shift of the demand force when the here is the curve it is shifted towards inner side. It means that demand has been decreased. It is of course obvious. The amount of change in price and quantity from one equilibrium to another is dependent upon the elasticity of supply. Okay, now the demand curve is not shifted towards inner side, it's actually shifted towards the outer side because the price has been. The shift of this point from the inner curve towards the outer curve basically depends upon the elasticity of that, whether the substitutes of the product are available in the market or there are no substitutes for that product in the market. So it is obvious, of course, it is understood that elasticity of the product supply will actually determine the shift of the supply demand curve. In any market transaction between a seller and a buyer, the price of the good or service is determined by the supply and demand in a market. Supply and demand are in turn determined by technology and the conditions under which the people operate. Okay, so in any market, the price of the product, the you know dealing between the seller and buyer, everything is actually determined by the supply of the product and the demand of that product. So it means that supply and demand are in turn determined by the technology and the conditions under which the people operate. Okay, it's a chain basically. The dealing between seller and buyer means the consumer and the supplier. It is dependent upon the price of the good. The price of the good is actually dependent upon the supply and demand of that product in a market. The supply and demand of that product are actually determined by the production technology and other factors such as labor cost and many other along with that. Okay? At one extreme, the market could be populated by a large number of virtually identical sellers and buyers. For example, the market of a ballpoint pens. And at other extremes, there might be only one seller and one buyer. Okay. Ballpoint pens, again, the elastic product, and the other extreme about which we are talking, it is about the inelastic products, one seller and buyer. For example, the powerhouses. Only single individual powerhouses are present in a city, and almost all the powerhouses in all the cities of a country are owned by one seller, and that seller is the government. Okay? And the powerhouses, the energy, this is the inelastic product. There is no substitute of energy in the complete market of the country. Okay. Now the seller is the sole boss of his product. He can change the price to 10 folds, 20 folds, and 30 folds because he knows that the buyer needs to buy his product. He will purchase his product. Okay? Then comes perfect competition. Okay, it's another terminology related to uh, the supply and demand. Let's see what is perfect competition. Economists have formulated models to explain various types of markets. The most fundamental is the perfect competition, in which there are large numbers of identical suppliers and demanders of the same product. Buyers and sellers can find one another at no cost, and no barriers prevent new suppliers from entering the market. Okay, economists have actually prepared or presented ideal models for many types of markets. Is the most fundamental, the most basic model of market is perfect. Means in perfect competition, there are multiple numbers of identical suppliers who are supplying similar products. And even then, if a new supplier, a new producer wants to enter the product, he can easily enter the product, irrespective of the fact that a huge number of suppliers are present within the market. In perfect competition, no one has the ability to affect the prices. Both sides take the market price as a given, and the market clearing price is the one at which there is neither excess supply nor excess demand. Okay, so although a number of suppliers can enter the market, but they will they will sell their product on the market's decided price, market's given price. Okay, the supplier will not increase or decrease the price. He will only sell his product on the price given by the market. Okay, this is known as market clearing price. Means every supplier has to sell the similar product at the same price that is decided by the market. It is known as market clearing price. Suppliers will keep producing as long as they can sell the good for a price that exceeds their cost of making one more the marginal cost of production. Buyers will go on purchasing as long as the satisfaction they derive from consuming is greater than the price they pay, marginal utility of consumption. If the prices rise, additional suppliers will be enticed into the market. Supply will increase until a market clearing price is reached. gain. If the price falls, suppliers who are unable to cover their cost will drop out. Okay, so this complete uh, thing is known as perfect competition. It is a model stated by economists. Okay, so now when the new new suppliers or producers have entered the market, these suppliers will keep on producing the market as long as they will cover up their uh, production cost or they will get some profit as well. Okay, buyers will go on purchasing as long as their satisfaction is achieved by using the product. Okay, this is known as marginal utility of consumption. While for the suppliers who keep on selling the product as long as they will reach a price that their production cost will be covered up and they will get some profit. It is known as marginal cost of production. Okay, marginal cost of production, marginal utility of production. These are basically two ideas, two models given by the economist. Uh, the first idea, that is marginal cost of production, has been observed in the market, but the second idea has not been observed in the market. Why the buyers will go on purchasing the similar product again and again until their satisfaction level is achieved. Of course, once they are disappointed by the product, they will not purchase the product once. Okay, so if the price rises, the additional suppliers will be entered into the market and they will start selling the product at a price given by the market or fixed by the market. Okay, in case if the supply is in case if the prices falls, then the suppliers who are unable to cover their costs will be dropped out of the competition, dropped out of the market. So this whole phenomena, this whole process is known as perfect competition. It's basically a model as stated by economists. Economists generally lump together the quantities suppliers are willing to produce at each price into an equation called the supply curve. The higher the price, the more suppliers are likely to produce. Conversely, the buyers tend to purchase more of the product the lower its price. The equation that spells out the quantities consumers are willing to buy at each price is called the demand curve. So, similar thing, again, the same thing has been explained over here. Okay, equilibrium price is also known as the market uh, clearing price, another name. Okay. Demand and supply curves can be charted on a graph with prices on the vertical axis. Okay, again, the same thing has been explained. The point at which two curves intersect represents the market clearing price, the price at which the demand and supply are the same. The similar thing. Equilibrium price is another name of market clearing price, where the supply and demand are equal to each other. Okay, four major market factors that will affect the prices are the costs and the expenses during the production process, the supply and demand, the consumer perceptions or consumer choices, and okay. So these four things will decide the price of the product. The costs and expenses, supply and demand, consumer perceptions, and competition. Prices can change for many reasons like the technology, consumer preferences, and weather conditions as well. Okay, now again we have started explaining about the inelastic good. A classic example of an inelastic good, at least in the short term, is energy. Consumers require energy to get to and from work and to heat their houses. It may be difficult or impossible in the short term for them to buy the cars or houses that are more energy. On the other hand, demand for many goods is very sensitive to price. For example, steak. If the price of steak rises, consumers may quickly buy a cheaper cut of beef or switch to another meat. Steak is an elastic good. Okay? So, of course, the energy is an inelastic good, and the consumer can generate more and more profit by selling energy to all the individuals in a city or, in fact, in a country. An increase in supply, all other things unchanged, will cause the equilibrium price to fall. Quantity demanded will increase. A decrease in supply will cause the equilibrium price to rise, the quantity demanded will decrease. One important issue going on right now is the imbalance between supply and demand. For every good and every service that is being provided and sold, you have supply and you have demand. And when the supply is limited, the prices go up, and when the demand is high, the prices will go up once again. Okay, so this is practical example, or you can say the practical happening. What we have studied up till now is what the book says, but on practical basis, whether the supply is limited or whether the demand is high, in both the cases, the prices will go up. Okay. Economic theory says that the price of something will tend towards a point where the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. This price is known as market clearing price because it clears away any excess supply or excess demand. Market clearing is based on the famous law of supply. Okay? So, as the name indicates, market clearing price is basically the price at which the market will clear up the additional products present in the market. And here, the supply of the product is equal to the demand of that product. Of course, most markets are imperfect. They are not composed of unlimited buyers and sellers of virtually identical items who have perfect knowledge. At the other end of the spectrum from perfect competition is monopoly. So, in a monopoly, there is one supplier of a good for which there is no simple substitute. The supplier does not take the market price as a given. Instead, the monopolist can set it. Monopoly's twin is monopsony, in which there is only one buyer, usually a government, although there may be many suppliers. Okay, so the markets are not actually very perfect one as we have discussed up till now. Of course, they are composed of, they are not actually, they are, right? Actually, markets are not actually composed of those unlimited buyers and sellers that sell the identical items. Okay, their items are somewhat similar to each other, but of course, there can be any flaw in uh, the market related to the sale purchase of the products and related to, of course, all the buyers, sorry, all the sellers will not actually follow the market's uh, rules, or you can say the market's guidance about selling the product. Okay, so in sometimes perfect competition has not been observed in the market. What is observed in the market is monopoly. Monopoly means there is only one supplier of a good that is producing optimum products, and he is actually deciding, that monopoly company or that monopoly producer is actually setting up the prices of the product, and all other suppliers, all other producers have to sell their products according to the price of that monopoly company's product. Okay, so in most of cases the monopoly company is the government. So how the government decides the price of a product, the other suppliers, the private sector suppliers, he will start selling the product uh, accordingly. Okay, they will match the price of their products with the government's product. Okay, so while the monopoly twin is monopsony, in monopoly's case, the supplier, the producer is government, while in monopsony, the buyer is government. Okay, means the producer, the supplier can be any private sector organization, but the government is the one that will purchase all the products from that company, and the government will further sell that product to all the citizens of that country. Okay, so perfect competition is an ideal situation, and it is not mostly observed in countries. What's observed is the monopoly, the monopsony. Okay, so you can see the political things are usually observed within the markets. A change in one of the variables shifters held constant in any model of demand and supply curve will create a change in supply, demand or supply. A shift in the demand or supply curve changes the equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity for output. Again, the same thing has been explained that we are discussing again. So this was all about your class. If you have any question, please ask.
Ma'am, as we have, ma'am, in the last part, like you give the example like perfect competition, like for example, monopoly and monopoly. Could you just repeat again?
Monopoly means that there is only one supplier or one producer in the market. That is, you can say it's a boss company because it is preparing high quality, effective products and it is selling its products on a very higher price. All other suppliers in that market will just look at that company about the prices set by the specific product. So they will not sell the product according to the prices set by the market, but they will start selling their product according to the prices set by that boss company. So that boss company is actually the monopolistic company or monopoly. Okay, and uh, that monopoly company is all in one army of that market. It will not listen to any market school, sorry, it will not follow any market school. It will not listen to any higher authority guidance and it will set its own rule and start selling the product. And the major example of monopoly is the government itself. Means the higher authorities are themselves the monopoly companies. So no one else dares to speak in front of them or start selling the product at a higher prices than their product's price. Okay, so this is monopoly when producer or seller is the boss. In monopsony, the buyer is the one company. No one other than that buyer dares to purchase those products. Okay, and again, the government is the monopoly. In this case, the government is the buyer, while in monopoly, the government is the seller or the producer. Okay, so in monopsony, the government will purchase the products from private sector organization and then start selling that product to the citizens of that country. Okay, so basically, the government shows up that they are doing this for the sake of well-being of the individuals or citizens of the country, and they are selling the product at cheaper level. But behind the curtain, the scenes are different. They have purchased the products at a very cheaper price from the private sector organization. Okay? So this is monopoly. Monopoly means the boss suppliers or boss producers, while the monopsony is the boss buyers. Any other question?
No, ma'am, I understood.
Okay, all right. Okay, so can you please tell me the definitions of following terms? Supply,
Okay,
demand.
supplier. Okay, ma'am, supplies refers to the market's ability to produce a good or service, like quantity of goods, for example, shopkeeper to purchase that product or service, its price will
Mhm.
increase, then will regulate the price of the product and the ability of the product for supply.
Mhm.
And whereas demand refers to the market's desire to purchase the goods or services, like for example, like a schedule, layout, or a request. So consumers are
Interesting.
more likely to buy. Refers to the market's desire, and there's no demand of the product.
Mhm. Okay. And
As
elasticity.
and elasticity means changes in price accordingly. Changes in price accordingly, causing the what's it called, like mostly changes in price accordingly. And for equilibrium price, basically for what's it called, like equilibrium price is equals to demand and supplier. I mean, it becomes equal to supplier, which is like the price will become constant to cover up the price. It will remain
Mhm.
constant and supplies decrease. Yeah.
Yes, where supply becomes equal to the demand.